How you doing? Llewyn Davis.
Oh, hello. I've heard your music, and heard many nice things about you from Jim and Jean and from others.
You have not heard one nice thing about me from Jean.
The Coen brothers, responsible for such recent movies as True Grit and No Country for Old Men, are back on December 6th with a highly anticipated musical dark comedy called Inside Llewyn Davis. Their last project will explore the rise of the folk music scene in the 1960s in New York City and stars Oscar Isaac, Carey Mulligan, John Goodman, and even Justin Timberlake.
Great cast.
I should note that Inside Llewyn Davis won the Grand Jury Prize at the 2013 Cannes Film Festival. Also, the soundtrack has gotten rave reviews featuring some original songs written specifically for the movie. Should also note that while Inside Llewyn Davis gets released on December 6th, it won't get a full release until December 20th. Now, Jill, the Coen brothers have quite the eclectic library they're assembling here. Will this be another hit, another credit to their name?
I'm going to say yes. One thing I think the Coen brothers do really well is tell a good story. And that's what this looks like to me, a really fun story. And a really fun story set in a very specific setting. And I think that's exactly what we saw with True Grit. I think that's what we saw with No Country for Old Men.
Even going back to Fargo.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a good.
And they do such a good job of bringing out performances with their actors. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be awesome. I think everyone else is going to think it's awesome too. And so I'm going to go 90%. Like Lauren mentioned, it's getting a limited release to start, and so those tend to be under $1 million. I'm going to go 350,000. When it comes out in wide release, which will probably be a more telling number, I'm going to say 16 million. This isn't maybe going to have a huge broad appeal, but people are going to like it. It's going to be good.
All right, Fox, agree, disagree?
I'm pretty much agreeing across the board. I think the Coen brothers are at their best when they, like you said, confine themselves to a small space. This all takes place in the span of a week, which I think is really interesting, and it really just follows this person's interactions with different people. And I'm glad they're returning to the musical genre, so to speak. I'm thinking, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which the music in that was almost a character in of itself. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this get nominated for several Best Original Songs, which would be very cool. Maybe an original screenplay as well. Maybe some acting. We haven't seen a lot of Oscar Isaac yet. I heard he's a little bit of an unlikable character, so it remains to be seen how it'll go. 88% positive. Like you, probably under $500,000. I'm going pretty low for the very opening weekend, 150K, and then 15 million when it releases wide.
And Chris?
I think this has tremendous potential, and the previews have been interesting. They have not given much away.
Especially with the music,
Yeah, so that would normally make me nervous. I'm nervous about what they're not showing me, but given this thing did win the Grand Jury Prize, I think we can all say with some confidence it's going to be very, very good. And it's the Coen brothers, who I'm not like all of the recent stuff as much, but certainly they have a tremendous, tremendous track record.
Blasphemy.
So I'm really looking forward to this a lot. I think it's going to be about 90% with critics. I think it's only opening on something like 4 screens on this first weekend, so like $150,000. But when it hits the big time, about 17 million. I'm a little bit more optimistic than either of y'all.
Which would be really great for a budget of this size. I mean, clearly this is not a blockbuster. So if it made 17 million, 15 million, something, that would be great for it.
And I was thinking about, if this is a movie like True Grit, this doesn't have the cast appeal. This doesn't have the big names in it.
Yeah,
or at least the main character
is
not the big name that they've had in some of the other movies.
Jazz, we play all the notes. 12 notes on a scale, not 3 chords on a ukulele. Oh, if you make a living at it, more power to you.
Fare well, my honey, fare thee well.
Let's get started.